Now, guitar, we have really the same problem. It's a mono instrument in this case. So what I'm going to do is cross it from right to left to counterbalance what we did with the organ. Again, going in around 20, 24, 22 milliseconds, 18 milliseconds, somewhere in there. Adjust my levels and let's get a balance here between the dry and the crossed signal. Now you'll notice that the guitar is leaning to the right side, the organ is leaning to the left, but we have an ambience that's crossing. Especially in the headphones, it makes for an exciting wide dimensional effect. EQ-wise, again, I'm going to thin it out a little bit to leave room for the bass and not have the guitar step on top of the bass. Easily solo. Let's get a little edge, maybe up here 5, 6K, somewhere in there. Just a little bite on the guitar, but not brain dart sound. And checking that low end again. I don't want to thin it out too much, but I'm going to mellow that mid-range again too. I tend to like that effect where we warm things up a little by taking the honk out of the middle. And then mix is starting to come into place. Do we need thickness here? No, not really. I kind of like it there, and that'll give me a little bit, make the bass stand out a little bit more. Very, very cool. Starting to come together. All right, here we go with the sax. Now, the sax dry is not very exciting. So let's solo this and see what we can do here. First of all, we do need a little EQ here, I think. A little bite on there. Actually, I find sax tends to be a little edgy around the 4, 4.7, 5K, somewhere in there. In fact, now, here's this little sax solo that we want to loop while we're doing this work, so I don't have to keep going up there and playing back, starting to play back every time. So we'll just put that in a little loop mode. Now I can trim out the sax and do what I want to do while I hear it over and over. Again, notice the EQ's there. It's already, all we do is turn it on. We don't have to go patching. We don't have to roll the seat down to the corner to patch things. It's like a real console. It's all built right in front of you. Okay, now that I warmed up the mid-range, I am going to put some of that edge back in. And it's starting to sound a little bit better. Okay, a little reverb, of course, would help. Very good. Yeah, we're starting to get a little edge there. You know what else I tend to like sometimes is, again, I use the echo. And I'll just put a very weak slap in the back, along with the reverb. This can tend to just give that little extra dimension. I'll lower the strength of that slap, but it kind of just makes the sax sound like it's slapping off the back wall. It just opens it up a little. Especially on the short, stabby notes. It's kind of a neat effect in the middle of a mix. Little compression would probably come in order here. Again, I want to shorten my release time. Notice the loop is handling the auto play rewind without any time wasted. Okay, let's get that sax to just kick into that compression. Notice these compressors can be set, as I'm setting them, in a very transparent mode where you really don't hear thumping and pumping compression, yet it holds the meter more even. Therefore allowing you to really trim out the mix and hold it there. Very powerful. All right, we're starting to look pretty good now. Okay. Now, let's take out the loop and let's just come on back in here. And I think what we have to look at now is the guitar solo. Okay, we have these two harmony overdubs. Let's take the first one here. Let's get this one cleaned up a little. In fact, while we work on this, let's go ahead and set another loop. We simply mark the timeline and we hit the play loop button. It's pretty straightforward. All right, again, we'll play around. This solo's a little thin. I'm going to thicken that up, but I still want to warm that mid-range. Going to come and definitely compress this a little bit so it doesn't jump out at me. And again, you see how quick, when you get familiar with this console layout and with the effects itself, you want to spend time with each of these effects so that you understand how to work them, then you'll see how quick and easy it is to, build into the mix. Okay. It's starting to work. Okay, now we've left that harmony in the center, mono. Don't forget the first guitar was split from right to left. So when we get down to this third part, I think a good concept would be to split this one left-right, which will cross against the other guitar. That'll give our guitar harmonies quite a wide range of dimension. So let's come up in here first. Let's fix this EQ a little bit, thicken it up, warm it up. Now let's come over here to the, let's get the cross delay in, and we want to really expand on this. Cross it over. Okay, let's shorten down the time back into our cross delay stereo area from maybe 12 to 20 some milliseconds. Let's get our levels up and balanced. Now you'll hear that the guitar is crossing from left to right. That will go against the original guitar solo part from right to left, and the other harmony part will stay in the middle. Again, set up our compressor. Now I could, of course, create presets for each of these things and just call up the same preset, but it's so easy to adjust, you might as well just adjust it along on the fly. All right. Now let's put a little blend in there. Very interesting effect. Notice how the dimension starts to build. And we have a very simple project here. We're already building it into a very nice dimension. And as you see, I'm doing this for you in real time. This is how long it takes. It is an exciting way to work. Trim that one. Okay. I'd say we're starting to look and sound pretty good. Let's take the loop out and see where we're really at. Try it from the front. Now, looking at the full mixer view, it's an easy matter to start jumping around and taking a look at some of the waveforms by simply clicking in the full view and F-keying up to look at our waveforms in detail. See if everything looks and feels the way we think it should be. There's the bass guitar, instantly visible. If we want, we can click on the sax, go up, see that. From there, we can roll around, look at anything we want. Here we see the guitar. So as you see, I'm performing the mix in real time in a complete virtual environment. Many people think this is impossible to do. Personally, I think this is the only possible way to mix once you've done it this way. Mixing on a physical console, to me, is almost impossible these days. Very nice. One last thing to trim up here would be the output level. So I click into the output zone, I jump right down to the master level, and while everything is still in motion, I adjust my master mix level. No different than a console, other than I didn't have to move my chair from the sweet spot. There it is. Oh, a little hot on the output. Let's trim it down a little bit. Very good. Okay, now that basic mix is starting to sound pretty good to me. I'd say we're ready to look at some automation so we can fine-tune the final product.